So 2 days ago, Wednesday evening this week, I headed into London for the Mark+Fold 10-year birthday celebration. Now they're one of my favourite stationers. Got one of their everyday notepads here. This was a journal that I used for a whole year with sort of thermal printing and cover the pictures of my kids. Now I was invited alongside my co-host Helen from the Stationery Freaks podcast. Amy, the founder of Mark+Fold, has been on the podcast. We're friends of the brand and we absolutely love this stationery. But the real moment was this. I got to meet Helen face to face, in person, for the first time in 5 years. We knew each other before that. We worked with each other. We started the podcast 7 years ago. We haven't met each other face to face for at least the last 5 years. And yet somehow we've been able to keep creating, to keep publishing the Stationery Freaks podcast. And that is the thread of this video: longevity, persistence, the love and the joy of creating for the sake of creating. So our plan was to meet at Liverpool Street Station in London. Now Helen, living all the way out in the west, she had a bit of a longer journey than I did, living down in the south of the UK, not actually too far from London. We met each other at the station. There was lots of happiness and joy, the first time in 5 years that we've actually seen each other. And we headed to a place called Pizza East.
Is the 15.
Helen.
Hello. Nice to see you. Oh my God, you're as tall as ever.
I was wondering whether you were getting smaller. It was about the quietest place that we could find in London, in this bit of London near Brick Lane. And we wanted to record an episode of the podcast before we went to the birthday celebrations. Recording stuff in the field isn't our specialism, but I had my trusty Zoom H4n, which actually performed remarkably well, and the podcast actually turned out okay, despite the fact there was buzzing energy, music, noise, traffic, all sorts of stuff happening. We mused about how we pondered this for ages before we actually hit record. That first episode, an absolute technical disaster. Little audio recorder very similar to this, perched on a table, lunch break, sneaking in a recording of this episode. The first one ever. But after that first episode, we recorded another one. Technically, not much better than the first one, but we shipped it anyway. We didn't expect anybody to listen to it. Oh, how we were wrong. Because that is the first barrier to almost any creative project. Making something, building something, shipping something, getting into the work. For us, it was time to stop talking about it and time to start recording and shipping it. Because when you ship things, when you build things, when you create things, you learn what it's going to take to bring this idea into life. After recording that, we headed to the Mark+Fold pop-up shop. Now, this shop, depending on when you're watching this video, may or may not still be open. It is open until let me check my notes, the 25th of November, 2025. Now, if you're interested, I'll pop the address here on the video, but bear in mind, depending on when you're watching this video, it may not be there anymore. It's only a pop-up shop, but it is beautiful. It is magical. We perused that shop looking at all of the amazing stationery. You see, Mark+Fold to us as this minimalist, high quality, traditional kind of feel to it, with a modern twist, with modern colours, still manufactured and made in the sort of traditional ways. If you listen to the podcast, you'll hear us interview a bookbinder called Vicky, who binds Mark+Fold books using 1940s, 1950s machinery. It's a wonderful, wonderful story about how the old technology is helping to create the new products, the new stationery in a digital world. We then headed next door to the celebration, to the party, to the birthday, to the anniversary. 10 years that Mark+Fold have been going, and the founder, Amy, has so much energy, so much passion, so much enthusiasm for the brand, for the products, for the aesthetics, for the principles and values that sit behind it. It was really, really magical. And I should say that I, on this video of Creative Soul Projects and the Stationery Freaks podcast, are in no way at all affiliated with Mark+Fold. We've had Amy on the show. We use their products, which we paid for. We were invited along because we're friends of the brand. I should make that super clear. In the room was 10 years of the designs laid out on the table, showing the evolution from that very first set of notebooks all the way through with the planners and the notebooks and the journals and the diaries. Wonderful to see that evolution, to see how the design has changed, how the brand has evolved. Now, for me and Helen, this was gold. We were in a room full of stationery freaks, people who love the analog, they love the aesthetics, they love the feel of ink and paper and stickers and journals and diaries and everything else you could imagine. We met Vicky, the binder, we met authors, we met interior designers, we met consultants, we met coaches, we met all sorts of people from a myriad of different walks of life in different industries, in different jobs, all there sharing their passion, their enthusiasm, and their love of stationery, and of course there to support Amy and the brand. We managed to bag a couple of quick interviews for the podcast, which was great, very impromptu, very sort of last minute, very much like, wow, you've got an interesting story to tell. Do you want to come and share that? The Prosecco was flowing, the ideas were being discussed. It was a really magical event. After shopping in the store, we headed our separate ways back home, still connected by this love of stationery and the pursuit of creating a podcast that hopefully gives value to the community. Mark+Fold have been creating for 10 years. Helen and I have been creating this podcast for 7 years. Because if you love that work, you're going to keep creating, you're going to keep making. The process itself is enjoyable because the very act of making, the very act of the creation itself is what pulls that project forward. I, for one, had an absolute blast. Thank you, Amy and Mark+Fold, for inviting me. The podcast is up on the Stationery Freaks brand. I thought this is a great opportunity to do a Creative Soul Projects video to show you behind the scenes of some of the stuff that happens with the many, many different projects that I'm involved with. Thought I'd get a decent video. As it happened, the priority was the podcast, so I didn't get quite as much footage, but I was busy trying to get audio, chatting to people, get carried away in the moment of all this stationery goodness. If you are in London, check out the pop-up shop. It's beautiful, it's amazing. Their stationery is top notch. It really is very, very good stuff. I will see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.